Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rodney, and I'm back. And when I tell y'all, it is early in the morning. Well, it's early for me. I woke up at 7 o'clock because I wanted to try and get this review out of the way because I'm going out of town with my family. I tried to do this a review last night. When I tell you it was a complete mess, I talked for probably 30 minutes. I was not almost done, but I was 30 minutes into the review. You know, I'm kind of long winded. And when I tell y'all I was just rambling because what happened was I took a melatonin. And then I realized that I was not finishing any of the things that I was saying. I skip around sometimes. I was bouncing around from thought to thought, from scene to scene, and I was like, this is a mess. I was thinking in my head, this sounds a mess. And so I went back and started listening to it, and I was like, girl. I was like, just go to sleep. So I just went to sleep. And so now we're starting all over. So now we're down here again to talk about the Love and Marriage Huntsville. Um, did I say reunion? Anyways, we're here to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. So I can try to get this uploaded before I leave. I have what? We leave at 9 o'clock. It is 7:48. So I have about okay, let's go. All right. So I put baby the way Marquez was running like Usain Bolt. Hey, baby the way Ken was girl ducking and dodging and sneaking around those corners in that house trying to get to Marquez. Now it went black from what the people say. I don't know if he actually made contact with Marquez, but it sounds like from what Leticia and Ken say that it got physical. So I'm assuming he made contact. I don't know. This is what I have to say. Um, there were people online. I don't know if this is true or not, but there were people online saying that Latricia was not telling the truth about the paperwork, that she allegedly went back and refiled the paperwork, that the initial filing did not include the kids' names on the paperwork. Again, I don't know. Based off of last season, we know that Latricia is a bona fide liar. So you just really never know sometimes when it comes to Latricia or Marquez because, girl, they both be lying. So I don't know. But I just wanted to put that out there that there were people in my comment section and also on Twitter saying that the initial filing did not include the kids' names on the paperwork and that Marquez was telling the truth. So I don't know. But anyways, this is the part where I was like, this is so embarrassing. Girl, the son comes downstairs. I said, oh, girl. Latricia, Ken, and Marquez, specifically Ken. This is the first time where I looked at Ken. This is the first episode where I've looked at Ken with a side eye. Y'all cutting up and doing all of that. When you really break it down, Ken, you were about to tear your house up because you said Marquez was lying about the paperwork. Now, this could be the straw, what they say, the straw that breaks the camel's back. This could have been in that situation, right? He's been lying, and now here we go again with another lie, and then boom. So I get it when we look through it, look at it through that lens. But the simple fact that Ken was downstairs, girl, acting like the Incredible Hulk, while those kids, or at least the son, I'm assuming the daughter could have been up there, or she could have been gone, but we know the son was upstairs because he comes downstairs. Girl, y'all were doing all of that while those kids, or the kid was upstairs. I was like, oh, girl, y'all ought to be embarrassed. Y'all ought to be embarrassed, especially Ken. I feel like Ken was drinking. Because when I looked at that cup, go back to the last episode and look at that cup Ken had. That was some orange juice and vodka. Okay, because that orange juice was a little thin. Let me tell you something. If I can't tell nothing else, I can tell a cocktail. Okay, I know a cocktail when I see a cocktail. Do you hear me? Girl, I said, okay, that orange juice is a little diluted. Okay. Anyways, but we're gonna get to Ken in a little bit because Ken, I was like, Ken, you lose to me. Ken been all right since they came onto the show, but Ken was losing me this episode. Kimmy and Maurice. Oh, Kimmy. Oh God. Let me take a sip of my coffee, y'all. Hold on, because we got a tug on my girl's wig again. Kimmy. Y'all know Kimmy is my girl. But Kimmy, you make it so hard for me coming down here. I can't even defend Kimmy if I wanted to. Girl, let me take a sip of this coffee. Girl, get my thoughts together. Hold up. Girl, this is a mess. Oh, girl. Mm, a mess. Oh, hold up. Mm, okay. So, before we get into Kim and Maurice, I want to say this. I live in the fact that, yes, I said fact, that I am objective and fair. And when I see things, I call it out, even when it's my faves. Um, the truth of the matter is when you do like someone, sometimes you might not see one or two things that other folks see. There have been like a time or two when people were like, "Did you see what so and so did so and so?" I'm like, "Girl, I didn't see that." And then I go back and watch it. I'm like, "Oh my God, girl, it happened." And then there have been times where I've seen things, even with my faves, that other people didn't see. Um, so I just wanted to put that out there that girl, I try to be fair and objective, even when it comes to my faves. So Kimmy and Maurice, Jaylen is Kimmy's son. He's apprehensive about going into the family business. I'm assuming the family business is going to be I think they're opening up a restaurant. So I'm assuming that's the family business that they're talking about. Well, Jaylen, has his reservations because Maurice comes off more like a dictator. He just wants to give orders and not really help. That sounds about right. Um, Jaylen doesn't look at Maurice as a father figure. Girl, when I tell you, guess who he looks up to as a father figure? Girl, when I tell you the way I gagged. Hey! Baby, let me take another sip of this coffee, baby. Hey! I said, girl. Girl, he looks up to Marceau as a father figure. Do you know how hands off you have to be as someone who is in the role of a parental figure, a guardian, a father figure for your stepchild to look at another person as a father figure? And we know that he's hands off because we know he almost took his son out in season 1 or 2 and had him choking. Girl, throat just closed. We've heard him say, "Those are not my kids; those are Tisha kids. I'm just the father." So, do you know how hands off Maurice has to be for Jaylen to look at Marceau as a father figure? And we know how hands off Marceau is. Marceau just steps in when it's time to play games, video games, go outside, jump on the trampoline, throw a couple of basketballs around. We've seen where Marceau has said, "Yo, Tisha got to find a babysitter for the kids, like those are his kids." Okay, let me ask y'all a question. Do you think Jaylen is a grown man and Kimmy, to me, Kimmy is validating what Jaylen is saying? So, I mean, even if Kimmy wasn't there to validate what Jaylen is saying, his word would still be his word. With that being said, Kimmy is validating what Jaylen is saying, and this is about her husband. So I just think it's true. But let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think that because from what Jaylen said, Maurice would only step into the picture when it was basically time to be a disciplinarian? That's really it. Whenever he probably saw stuff going wrong, you know how they just want to step in and put the hammer down and then go back to watching the game. That's what I'm assuming Maurice was when it came to Jaylen. Um, do you think that part of the reason why he gravitated towards Marceau is because based off what Tisha has said with their kids, Marceau only likes to joke and play with the kids. So he probably gravitated more towards Marceau due to the fact that Marceau was not the disciplinarian and that he kind of looked at him as the fun bonus uncle. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because you're probably going to go towards more the fun person, especially when you're a child, compared to the person who's laying down the law because that person is a fun person. I'm not saying Jaylen doesn't know because that's a grown man and he's telling us that he looked at him as a father figure. But I was also thinking about the things that Tisha has told us, the things that Marceau has said. And could that be a reason why Jaylen gravitated towards Marceau because he's not, the one that does the discipline, right? But Kimmy, girl, Kim, we got to tug on your wig in just a little bit. So, anyways, Maurice basically says that he doesn't want anybody to feel that he doesn't want the best for them, and that he adores him. In my opinion, the way Maurice came off this episode was not someone who was trying to listen and respond in a different way. I think he just wanted people to look through the lens of whatever I did as his stepfather worked, because this how I took it. Whatever I did as a stepfather worked because he not on the corner selling rocks. When the fact of the matter is you were not hands on. Your wife said that. Um, and if we're gonna be honest, probably most of the work was already done by the time you came into the picture. I don't know. I know Jaylen is not like in his 30s, right? Jaylen has to be what, mid-20s, somewhere between 25 and 29. I'm assuming, because when we were introduced to him, I think he was graduated from college, and Kimmy paid for his college. I think he was done like in 4 years. Like I think he's still pretty young-ish, right? I can't remember his age, and they probably put it on the screen, and I just don't remember. What I'm trying to get to is I don't know when Maurice came in the picture with Jaylen. I know Jaylen was of an age where he couldn't book his own hair appointments because, girl, like I caught that tea that y'all didn't catch the last time when Kimmy was going through breast cancer, and she said that she saw Maurice was cutting hair, and she booked an appointment with Maurice, and y'all was wondering why Kaya was walking around here calling Kimmy the side chick. See, I could be fair, and a lot of y'all didn't catch that because, girl, we was over here crying when Kimmy was going through breast cancer to get her hair shaved, but she let that shit slip out her mouth. I said, "Oh, did y'all hear that, T?" I'm not saying Kimmy was a side chick, but we're not gonna sit here and act like Kaya didn't have no feelings because, girl, Kimmy said that, girl, Maurice used to cut hair, and she basically found him through Facebook. Hello, and now she married to him, baby. Hey, we got to tell the truth and shame the devil around here. Anyways, let's move on. We'll get back into Kimmy and Leticia in a little bit. Look, we'll get back to Kimmy and Maurice in a little bit. So, ladies' night. It's Kimmy, Leticia, and Nell. Um, Leticia is telling the story about how Marquez just walked right into the house. Let me just say something. I think that it is a universal rule. Yes, universal. Girl. That you just don't walk into somebody's house without knocking. You don't walk into somebody's house without being granted permission to walk into that house. While yes, I can definitely believe that the producers probably set Marquez up and said, just walk on in. That does not change the fact that he did it twice. I want to bring Sharon into the conversation. I want y'all to go back and watch how Sharon entered Leticia's home in Ken's home versus Marquez. Marquez definitely has a problem with boundaries. And Marquez definitely thinks he runs shit at that house. Because when Sharon came over twice, the same way Marquez came over twice, Sharon knocked on the door, and then Leticia went and opened up the door. That was the first time. The second time, she on the door, and then Leticia went and opened up the door. The first time Marquez came over, he just walked in the house because he claims his daughter, he wasn't gonna let his daughter walk in with bags in her hand. But I don't remember Marquez having no fucking bags in his hand when he walked in the first time. But even if the daughter had 35 bags and girl 14 drinks, that does not give you permission to just walk into somebody's house. Marquez is a grown ass man. He knows this. He knows this. He knows this. The second time, he and walked right in the house. Then he also offered Sharon a drink. Now, it was rude for them not to offer anybody a drink, including Marquez. But that just goes to show that Marquez does not have any boundaries, and that he does think that he runs shit over there. Anyways, um, Leticia, girl, again, the screen blacked out, so you really don't know what happened. But she basically goes on to say that Marquez got disrespectful, walking up to everybody. Um, that's what she was telling Tisha. I didn't care to go back and watch. I don't remember. I'll say this: I don't remember Marquez coming across in a threatening way, if that makes sense. And maybe, you know what? I'll be honest. Maybe it's probably because due to his size that I didn't look at him in that scene come across as threatening compared to Ken. Now, Ken, on the other hand, he came across as threatening. He did. When he was like, I said, sit down, girl. So you take into account Ken is a big nigga, right? And then you just giving out orders in a very harsh tone. Um, I didn't see Marquez, even with his antics and him being dramatic and all that. I didn't see it come across as threatening. I don't remember him really getting into everybody's face. I don't remember that. But we know Leticia has a problem with the truth sometimes. But again, she could be telling the truth, and I just don't remember the scene. Um, anyways, so y'all let me know what happened. So Kimmy says that she tells him how Jaylen feels about Maurice and Marceau. And Kimmy says Maurice was hands off, like very hands off. Girl, let me drink this coffee, girl, cause Kimmy, girl, I said, girl, Kimmy. Oh. Let me go ahead and drink this down, cause let me go ahead and drink this down. Okay, Kimmy, this is what I want to know. Kimmy met a man who was hands off, like very hands off. She made sure she said it twice with her son. She noticed that the way that he treated her son was different from the way that he treated his son. The son also felt that he was treated differently than Monster, which is Maurice's son. And girl, you still stayed with that man and married him? I don't want to judge, but I'm judging. Girl, it's giving you put a nigga before your child. If we're just gonna be honest about it and have some kitchen table talk. Can we have some kitchen table talk? Girl, can we have some kitchen table talk? Girl, it sounds like she put a nigga before her son. Girl. Hmm. So Nell, I don't know if Nell is telling the truth or not. Girl, she sound like a goddamn lie to me. But Nell basically said they start talking about Lance having a baby. Nell says that now I rewound that scene like 3 or 4 times. It sounded like Nell said to me, to Leticia, that Lance found out that day at the reunion that the girl was having a baby. And I don't know if this is his same baby mama or a different girl, but I think it's the girl he's been dealing with over the last 5 years or something like that. I think whomever it is hard for me to believe that Lance found out that day that he was having a baby and he just ran from LA back to Huntsville, Alabama. You mean to tell me this entire time Lance didn't know anything about a baby? And then this girl who has been keeping the pregnancy a secret, the day she goes into labor, she calls Lance and said, ring, 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 ring. Hey, just FYI, I've been pregnant this whole time and I'm about to go into labor in a few hours. and then Lance just ran from Los Angeles back to Huntsville. Because when Leticia asked him, did Lance know? Girl, I saw Nell shake her head like, no, he didn't know until that day. And that's when she found out too. Now maybe Neil, whatever her name is, I don't know that lady's name. Girl, maybe Nell didn't find out until that day. I can believe that. Maybe Lance didn't tell her until that day. But I don't think that Lance didn't know until that day. I think Lance had knew prior to that day. I think he probably just didn't tell Nell to that day. Anyways, so Leticia says that she had been side eyeing Nail. She tells Nail, I have been side eyeing you because you basically had Lance over here dating. Oh my God, girls! Shout out to social media, girl. Remember the diva used to shout out to the diva Erica De Niro TV. Girl, remember when the diva used to always say that social media was a fifth cast member or the eighth cast was a cast member? Did y'all notice? I clocked this tea. Did y'all notice that now, like in the opening credits, literally they have social media on the show? Like they before they introduce each cast member, it shows like Instagram. Yeah. So social media is a cast member now. Anyways, so Tisha says she saw on social media um that Lance had a girl pregnant. And she thought about like, girl, you basically hooked not you hooked, but you know, like you knew this whole time. But Nell said she didn't know. Um this is where Tisha lost me at when she was talking about Maurice, Jaylen, and Marceau. I don't know if Tisha was speaking in past tense or present tense. She was basically saying that Jaylen has to also embrace Maurice as a father. It sounded like she was talking about because she said when Maurice came into the picture, like he was already coming into an established relationship. Jaylen was, a young boy. I don't think he was like a toddler, right? He was like a young boy, and she. It sounded like to me she was trying to say that Jaylen had to kind of be receptive to Maurice for it to work out. Like I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily buy that because if Jaylen is a child and Maurice is the adult, I feel like coming into a situation where you are the step parent is somewhat up to you to continue to push the relationship with your stepchild, even if your stepchild has walls up. Because like you're the adult. So I don't know how I feel about Tisha saying that's what it sounded like she was saying to me. And then she went on to say, it's now this is when it sounded like she was talking in present tense. Like basically he has these combos, which I agree, because at this point Jaylen is a grown ass man, but Jaylen probably doesn't care either. He has these conversations with Kimmy, but instead of having these conversations with Kimmy, he needs to be having these conversations with Maurice. That I kind of agree with because again, like now Jaylen is a grown ass man, But on the flip side, Jaylen probably doesn't care because, like, I'm a grown man now. Like, it is what it is. Like, that's Maurice. That's my mama's husband. I really don't live with them. I really take care of myself. So whatever relationship we have is a relationship that we have. Anyways, um, so Leticia's asking all these questions, right? And so then Nell, bitch, I'm not gonna lie. I said, "Come on, Nell, bitch." Nell says since Leticia wants to act like Leticia Esquire, she said she got some questions of her own. So she asked Leticia and Kimmy how did they feel about the interview that Martell did. Now I will say this much again. I think I mentioned this before. Martell did an interview with some girl who said she slept with Maurice and Marceau. I did. I never watched the interview. I was, but so many of y'all came and told me, "Baby, don't even waste your time. The interview was a hot ass mess." I don't even think people believed the interview because even after the interview, it kind of just went flat. I remember like the neighborhood talk posted that the interview was coming out, and then when the interview hit, like nobody was talking about it. So, and then based off of what some of the cousins were telling me, I was like, okay, girl, it must be a mess because they're even telling me don't even waste your time. So based off of that, I'm leaning towards more the girl could be lying. I don't know. But she still brings up the interview anyways. When I tell you, baby, did y'all see how the mood girl clock go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. Did y'all see how Tisha's mood changed? Tisha did a 180 with her mood. What time is it, girl? We gotta hurry up. It's 8:14. I gotta be done by 8:40 because I gotta finish packing and put some clothes on. Well, I'm really done packing, girl. We ain't going too far. Anyways, so did y'all see how Tisha's mood changed? Baby, changed. Go back and watch how Tisha's mood shifted. Now, in Nell's defense, it was okay when you was over here asking questions, but when I saw asking questions, now your whole attitude changed, right? And she gonna ask Nell, well, what did you think about the interview? Because Nell asked him whether they think about the interview. Girl, I don't think shit about the interview, bitch. That was my husband. No, what do you think about the interview? Because the host said she fucked your nigga. She said she fucked mine. Okay? Be very clear. Anyways, um, and then they start talking in code. I do not like Kingdom Reign and how they edit these shows to have these people talking in code. Stop talking in code and say what the fuck they were talking about. Stop bringing up Tisha doing the Carlos King live and not mention that Tisha said that Martell was out here fucking niggas in college. Because that's what Tisha said. But they wanna they talking in code, and I feel like they're doing it to protect Martell. And I'm never gonna change my stance that if Martell can expose who Tisha was screwing in college and the niggas or nigga that she screwed in college, then I don't think it's wrong at all for Tisha to say the niggas who Martell was screwing in college. It's the same thing. And it just goes to show that it appears as though they are protecting Martell because they will play what Martell said, but then when Tisha responds on the show, because from what Tisha said, they said this on the show, but they didn't show it. That's why Tisha said it down to Carlos King live, because at that point it's live. But then when Tisha responds, even on the show, y'all are still showing it like without covering it up. Girl, just tell us what they said. Even when it comes to low key, Marceau and Maurice, I felt like they were still talking in code. Say what the side hoe allegedly said. She said she fucked Maurice and Martell. I mean, Maurice and Marceau. That's what she said. Just say it. Maybe they have said it and I just don't remember. But yeah, I just don't like the fact that sometimes they talk in code on this show. And I don't know if it's them talking in code or if it's a way that they edit the show. Anyways, Leticia said she was questionable about the Fletchers and about what Chris said about the NDAs. You know, I think Chris is sneaky. I've been told y'all. When I tell my good eye, girl, and just both of them. Girl, I got two good eyes. Girl, I told you my good eye is on Chris Fletcher. I don't trust him. Chris gives me, he's the type of person that when he gets caught into some shit, he'll throw other niggas under the bus. That's exactly what he did with Marceau and Maurice. That's exactly what he did with Marceau and Maurice. When he was about to get caught into some shit with Melody, girl, he threw Maurice and Marceau under the bus. Now, Maurice feels a way about it, as he should. Because I ain't never said shit about you. So why are you throwing me out here some shit because Melody on your ass about some shit? I ain't got nothing to do with that. Chris is sneaky, I'm telling y'all. Anyways, Maurice and Jaylen meet up. Jaylen might be moving to Colorado, basically. Did y'all hear how he said, I do IT work, IT specialist? That just goes to show that he's not really close to Jaylen. I understand that in these reality shows, they have to repeat stuff so that we know, right? Because I didn't know that Jaylen was an IT specialist. Hell, I thought he just still worked at Black. Okay? So I get it. They have to repeat some stuff so the audience can know. But I also know, too, you can deliver it a certain way. If he could have just said, yeah, I'm applied for this IT specialist job in Colorado. But, there's different ways he could have said it that it would make sense that Maurice probably knows. But the way he said it, it came across to me like, does Maurice don't know that he worked? You don't know that your son is an IT specialist? You might not know his ins and outs of what he does on a daily basis at work. But for the most part, girl, you don't know he's an IT specialist? Okay, anyways. And then Jaylen basically tells Maurice that growing up, he always felt that Maurice, I'm sorry, Jaylen tells Maurice that growing up, he always felt like he had more on his plate than he would put more on his plate than he would put on Monster's plate. Okay, this is what I feel like. Basically saying that we could be sitting down doing something, and the first person you would call would be me. You never called Monster. It will always be Jaylen, 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 Jaylen. Okay, parents, here we go. Like, I'm the oldest. The oldest child usually knows how it feels to always be called first. In parents' defense, I will say, I'm assuming they asked the oldest child to do it or call the oldest child's name first because they may not have to really supervise what you're doing. They may not have to continuously repeat instructions, right? So if I need something done, Rodney, boom, 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 boom. Even though it's three other people here, right? You're going to call on me first. So through that lens, I get it. But I think that where parents start to mess up, especially those who were the oldest in the family, when you start to become kids, you forget how it felt as the oldest child to always be called over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? And then in some situations, not mine, but in some situations, you start to feel like, girl, are they the favorite child? Do you like them more than you like me? Because, girl, every time I sit down and catch a breather, girl, you calling me to go do something. I'm trying to play the game. But, girl, Monster's sitting right here. He could do it too. So I think in some aspects, that's when like the favoritism question starts to come up in these children's head because they're trying to figure out why you always calling me when girl Monster's sitting right here. He could do it too. And then when you bring in the aspect in this situation where there's a stepchild and a biological child, it definitely can start the favoritism game, right? And you may not mean it that way, but that's how it can come across to that child. And so then Jaylen says, basically, Maurice feels like, so you think I treated you differently? And then Jaylen was basically telling him that, Monster is your biological child and that you would love Monster more. Wait. And yes, you do. You love Monster more. Not putting yes, you do. You love Monster more, but you should. Oh, yeah. Okay. Jaylen was telling Maurice that Like that's your biological child, so you're gonna love him more than you love me. It's gonna be different. Girl, can I say something, girl? The truth of the matter is, girl, no matter how you want to slice and dice, you might not want to say it out loud. Girl, a step parent will never love their stepchild the same as they love their biological child. It's something that they may not want to say out loud, but that's not. It's just not gonna happen. Girl, you should not treat them differently, though. The love is gonna be different. I don't care what nobody say, but the treatment should be the same. And it sounds like the treatment and love was different. Hey, okay, with Maurice and with Jaylen and Monster. And then as y'all hear, when Jaylen started basically telling Maurice the things that he helped him do along the way, I told you. There are a large group of people out there, men and women, who only feel that a man should be in the house because when you're teaching a boy how to be a man, it's going to have something to do with fixing shit. I have said this for years. You never hear men teaching boys about rejection, about respect for other people. It's all about you helped me change my first tire. You helped me change my first dishwasher. You helped me change my first toilet. Things that have to do with your hands because that's associated with being a man. So Maurice was there to help him change the first tire, or oil change, lay a brick. But the other aspects in life that have to do with just being a decent individual, right? Teaching your sons about kindness, and you don't have, you know, girl, ownership over a woman's body, and no means no, and she ain't got to be into you, and if she tell you no, walk off, in respect, all those things, right? But here we are. He talking about to change the tire though. um And he also basically he does admit that also it could have been, Marceau was new in the picture and he didn't know how long Maurice would be around. So he didn't want to really get attached to him because he could have been in and out of the picture, which kind of made me start thinking, well, how many niggas Kimmy done had around? Because if Jaylen feels that way, in my head, that means that there had to be at least one or two niggas, probably just one, I don't know, where Jaylen got attached to, and then they were not around anymore, and then girl, that's what it was. Because why would he feel that way if he's never experienced that situation before? Does that make sense what I'm saying? So he was basically taking ownership of maybe I was standoffish with you because I didn't know how long you were going to be around. Anyways, so baby, what time is it? Girl, we gotta hurry up. Girl, y'all know I'm too long winded. Okay, so baby, what's his name? Ken. Ken and his friend Will. Baby, I don't know what type of trap house concoction that is. I don't know what. Baby, all I know is I looked up honey, girl. It was a curtain. It was a curtain rod, girl. Will was pulling back a curtain, girl. I don't know what type of place that is, girl. I don't know if they slinging rocks out that motherfucker. I don't know. Girl, I don't know what's going on, baby. I swear to God, I don't know what type of place it is. But I think I saw a bar, a pool table, but I also saw a curtain. He pulled back a curtain. I said, girl, this is a lot. This is a lot. Girl, why is it a curtain rod? Girl, I looked up and girl, it was a curtain rod and that man was pulling back a curtain. I said, girl, what is going on? Girl, what type of place is this? Why is it a curtain right in front of the main entrance? Girl, a curtain right at the top, baby. I said, I don't know what type of place this is, baby. I can't go in there. Baby, can we just go to black? Because baby, I don't know what's going on over here. Anyway, so Will, Ken, and Chris Fletcher meet up. Baby, I put I am Will and Will is me. Let me tell y'all something. When I tell you Will was 100% honest with his friend Ken, I love the fact that Will was honest. Ken needs to always keep Will as a friend. So they're basically talking about Leticia Marquez, the whole mess. He basically at one point told Ken, "Look, this is your fault." At some point, it becomes your fault because it's this merry-go-round with you and people. I've seen you in this situation before in previous relationships, and at some point, you can exit this relationship, baby. He straight up said, "Baby, if it was me, Leticia would have been a thing of the past." I say, "Baby," I said, "Wait a minute." Anyways, he asks Ken, "Do you think you like the challenge? You're trying to figure it out." Basically, like, do you like the fact that this is giving you something to feel like you can fix, right? And then he says, "I haven't been trying to figure it out." And then Chris Fletcher said, "Yes, you have. Yes, you have." And then Will said, "That's literally what you've been telling me, girl." This I was like, Ken, you have been trying to fix this. You have. You literally went from saying, like, you are trying to fix this. You went from, I guess, not really being in the mix to now, like, you're the liaison between Marquez and Leticia. Like, you are trying to fix this. You are. you are. You are. At one point, Ken started getting frustrated because, girl, Chris and Will was not agreeing with what he was saying. Did y'all catch that, T? And then they started talking in code. Like, sometimes you got to put sometimes you got to put the puzzle back in the box. And then Um, he says he feels like the puzzle with Leticia is good. Marquez is the extra piece that don't need to be there. Okay, and this is where Will start to lose me. Not Will, Ken. Ken. No matter how you slice it and dice it, Marquez will forever be those children's father. And ain't nothing gonna change that. Now, whether he gonna be in the picture or not, I don't know. But it won't change the DNA. So for Ken to feel like Marquez is the extra piece that don't need to be there, girl, he's an addict. Girl, like, now I could see if Marquez was. I'll just use me for an example. I could see if Marquez was like my father. Like, I haven't seen my father since like 2002 ish, 3 ish, maybe. Say, I don't know. I guess I can't really use because I'm a grown ass man. I don't know. I just feel like maybe if he had got with Latricia and then Marquez popped up 20 years later, like, I don't know, like, years down the line, then maybe I could probably see why he says this. But to be honest, Marquez and Ken, Latricia and Ken have not been together that long. Like, even though Marquez was absent, he was. What I'm saying is not like it's been like 15, 20 years and him and Leticia been together and then Marquez just popped up out of the blue. I don't think Latricia and Ken had really been together that long um, before even the show started. Right? I just think it's weird that Ken thinks that Marquez um, shouldn't be there and that he's the extra puzzle piece. Like, he's the father, though. Again, I could see if Marquez was not around for 15, 20 years and then popped up. Not even 50, because at that point the kids would be grown. But y'all get what I'm trying to say? Like, maybe if it had been like 10 years, 12, like, if he left when the kids were like 3 and then he popped up, 10 years later, then I could see how Ken could be like, girl, where did this nigga come from? Like, I've been in these children's lives since they were 3 years old, 2 years old, and girl, 12 years later, he just pops up out of the blue. I could see it if it was that situation. But that's not the situation. He left and went to Atlanta. And I'm not making excuses for Marquez. Be very clear. He left and went to Atlanta, right? I think he would still call the kids every now and again. But it's not like he just like completely disappeared, if that makes sense. He said outside of him, he don't have a problem. And if he's not going to do the right thing, then what's his purpose? I mean, I get that. Like, if you're not going to be a father, then why are you here? I get it to a certain degree. Like, you just want to be around just to say you're around, because this is what I feel like. I don't think that Marquez gives a fuck about Leticia. I don't. A part of me feels like Marquez just wants to be around because he doesn't want another man in Leticia's life, and he doesn't want another man basically helping raise his kids because it makes him feel a certain way. If Ken and Leticia, I swear to God, I do believe this. If Ken and Leticia broke up tomorrow, I bet you Marquez would disappear. I really do believe that. But the fact of the matter is, he's there, and Ken, there ain't nothing you can do about it. Um, and then yeah, and then Chris asks Will if this was him, what would he do? And Will said, "Baby, if this was me, Trish would have been a thing of the past. Basically, like, girl, you got too much going on, brother. Like, you fighting, you're going back and forth. Like, a part of me, girl, I'm about to say this is gonna sound so mean, girl. Okay, we gotta hurry up, girl. I got 7 minutes, and then we gotta be gone by 9 o'clock. It's 8:30. What time is it? It's 8:33. Okay, girl. So this is the thing, right? Okay, let me slow down. I'm rushing. Hold up. I'm with Will. You don't, girl, girl. This is about to sound so mean, and I hope this don't come out the wrong way because I know a lot of y'all got kids. My mama got kids too, so don't feel like I'm not putting up with no shit that I ain't got to put up with. If it get to the point where I'm fighting your baby daddy, girl, we arguing and fussing and fighting. It's just a whole bunch of drama. Girl, I'm gone. Deuces. I'm gone. Girl, now I'm fighting your baby daddy. Like I don't have to deal with it. Like I don't have to deal with this at all. Okay. Anyways, so I was with Will, baby. Latricia would have been a thing of the past, baby. When I tell you, Leticia looked absolutely stunning. Did y'all see that bitch at the table? Basically, Marquez, Leticia and Marceau went to have dinner with Maurice and Kimmy, and Leticia had this long, big hair just flowing back. When I tell you, bitch, Tisha was absolutely gorgeous. I said, bitch, that's the hairstyle, Tisha. When Tisha be rocking that little bump and curl, remember last season? She love Tisha love a little press girl a little roller set. Tisha, leave them roller sets alone. Remember last when she had the black dress on with the little bump and go thum 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 thum. That was what's her name from Martin. Um anyways, I don't know if Tisha and Kimmy shop at the same place, but they had the same coat. Maurice and Marceau is messy. Kimmy basically says that he did treat Jaylen differently. Kimmy, this something to me. Kimmy look crazy to me. Kimmy, you said he did. He treated Kimmy. He treated Jaylen differently. He wasn't hands on, which I do believe because, girl, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there, girl. And nothing is wrong with this because Kimmy is the step parent, but I do believe that Maurice and Marceau and niggas like them do give me that once the kids get here, like Nelly told Ashanti, I'll start, kind of helping out when they start walking and start talking. Other than that, you got it. And even then, Kimmy gonna have to sit down and help Monster with college applications. Or whatever she was doing with Monster at the beginning of this season. Kimmy's gonna have to teach him how to do his laundry. Maurice is just there just to be in the house, just to say a man is in the house. But what are you teaching your sons outside of being able to change your toilet? Nothing. And then Marceau says that he completely understands Jaylen's feelings because he was raised with the golden child. Hey! I said, oh shit! But and then Marceau started getting pissed off. And then it said to be continued. So Maurice and Marceau about to get into an argument, and he referred to Maurice as the golden child, so he understands Jaylen's point of view. And that's what I'm saying. Like when you really think about it, we all have the capability, even you as parents, have the capability of going back to when you were a child and how it felt. You see how Maurice, as a grown man with 3 or 4 kids, I forgot how many kids they have, can tap back into when he was a child and say, I can understand Jaylen's point of view. Because when I was growing up and you were deemed the golden child, I remember how it felt. That's all I'm saying. People just need to remember how it feels to be a child. And I think that will help you be a better parent when you can put yourself back in the shoes of a child and how you felt when A, B, C, D, E, F, G happened to you. But I don't think a lot of parents like to do that because parents just like to be right. And just like Jaylen said, I mean, just like Maurice said, well, when we were children, right? A lot of parents like to go back to when we were children game. But just because you made it through doesn't mean that the same way you were raised will work with your children. Every child, it is not gonna work the same. Anyway, so I gotta get up out of here. If I miss anything, we'll definitely talk about it next week. I gotta go. All right, bye y'all.